Put the cape on him already.
First down, Colorado.
Ooh, and he just popped a little hot, man.
Put the cape on him already. That's a highlight from Travis Hunter from last season at Colorado. Man, oh man. Welcome back to the Sports Spotlight right here on Radio Azad, where your voice matters. 972-501-9390 is the studio number. I'm your host, Rizwan. With me on the airwaves of Radio Azad, I've got my good buddy and a wonderful sports mind. You know, I think I've been doing you a disservice by just calling you a football mind. You know many other sports. Some we don't even discuss here. Maybe one of these days. You know, I keep saying one of these days we want to do. I want to give you, Shep, the mic and let you do some Champions League stuff. Maybe not today because we've got a lot to talk about, but we'll see. We'll see if after 11 if we can carve out a few moments. But yes, welcome, Shep. How are you this morning?
Outside of sounding a little froggy, I think today, I am all right. It's supposed to snow this evening in Chicago. Not thick, but we might get 3 inches of snow overnight.
All right. Yeah, it's that time. We had it. So a buddy of mine who also lives in Chicago, he sent me some pictures this morning. He was like, "Hey, the first snow is coming," and I was like, "Huh." We had 80-degree temperatures yesterday.
Yes.
But that's
we're full. We're not full into winter, but it's our first
taste,
storm, we'll say, of the year.
Yeah, no, for sure. So look, we are going to be getting that here as well. So tonight, I think the temperature drop is going to happen about 5 or 6 p.m. By 9 p.m. So right now it's probably, I think when I woke up, it was like 65 degrees. It's probably about 70, 75 right now. But by 9 p.m., it's going to be 37 degrees. When we wake up tomorrow morning, it's going to be right around freezing, 32, 33 degrees. So, yeah, we're getting a taste of it ourselves, but maybe not to the degree that but that's always the case, right? We're never going to see the winter to the degree that Chi-Town does. So lots of snow and ice up in Chicago. See what I did there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I mean, all you can do is laugh because otherwise we'd be crying. All right. Let's focus back on the sports world. Man, oh, man. College football. All right, we've been talking about Indiana forever and ever. They almost bought it yesterday, man. They were playing at Penn State. We didn't think we were in a complete agreement that Penn State had no chance against this team.
What happened is that Penn State reminded us why they were, at least defensively,
supposed to be
number 2.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, they almost pulled it off. Miraculous, incredible catch by Indiana with what, like a few seconds left?
About 38 seconds left, something like that. Yeah, it was a great toe tap and catch.
It was going high for it, getting the toes in. All in all, 21 points scored in the fourth quarter, 7 by Indiana, 14 by Penn State. And Indiana wins 27-24, keep their unbeaten streak alive. They are 10-0. And
most of the games, they've really, just trounced their opponents. And so it's tough to keep a bunch of 18 to 23, 24-year-olds focused. And before we get too down on them and say this is the same old Indiana, I mean, almost every national title team
has a game or two
like year.
Yeah.
Where they just don't play nearly as well as they should.
Absolutely. And it was on the road. It was, to your point, it was to a tough place to play, to an opponent who has underperformed but has the pedigree and frankly has the talent to be a lot better than the 3-6 showing that they have right now. So all in all, sometimes, as you said, championship teams have to win those games, and Indiana did. Let's see how they rebound from it, how they show up against Wisconsin, if they're going to be back to trouncing by 40
Wisconsin finally
points.
got their victory last night on
They
their
did.
fourth or fifth quarterback of the season.
They've had a rough go of it for sure.
They also have had a really hard schedule. I will give if Ohio State had Wisconsin's schedule, we would know far more about Ohio State than we currently do.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. So Wisconsin, Purdue, I don't see them giving Indiana too much trouble. So it's going to be a Big Ten championship. Indiana, Ohio State, right? Unless, as we talked about last week, unless Ohio State stumbles at Michigan, but that's looking less and less likely, isn't it? They went into Purdue and won pretty convincingly, really, by taking the foot off the accelerator because they scored 24 points in the second quarter to be up 24-3 and then just kind of took the foot off and coasted to a 34-10 victory on the road at Purdue.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State, they look. I would ask people to look at this. I think Ohio State probably has the best roster again this year.
Yeah.
Right. But man, look at who they've had to play this year. They played a Texas team that at the time we thought was really, really good. But it turns out they're an above average team. I'm not even sure I'm going to say Texas is a good team.
Mm-hmm.
And Texas hadn't figured anything out offensively yet. And since then, who have they played with a pulse? Illinois?
Rambling.
Like
Ohio.
63 Washington? I mean, and this is a Washington team that just lost to Wisconsin. They're just, and this is not Ohio State's fault, but the rest of the league has got to get better and more competitive.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that at Illinois, the 34-16 was probably, I wouldn't say it's a feather in the cap, but it's a good win. You go to a ranked team on the road, beat them handily. But yeah, outside of that, yes, it's Grambling and Ohio and Minnesota.
Minnesota's a well-coached team, but you're going to tell me that Minnesota can match up in the line of scrimmage against Ohio State?
Yeah, no.
So the only team that could match the line of scrimmage of Ohio State was Texas, all right, or close to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a 14-7 grinder of a game.
Yep.
Michigan's not as good on the line as Ohio State is. Ohio State's not going to find anybody as good on the line of scrimmage as them until they get to the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Or unless they somehow play Oregon in the Big Ten championship game, which that would require Indiana losing twice.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, at that point, we'll see. We'll see if they can find the magic, kind of like they did last year, or if that bites them by having to have real competition for the first time in the playoffs. Which is what generally happens with Ohio State, or used to happen, up until the last 3 or 4
last
years.
year they had that mini camp at the end of the season because they didn't make their conference championship game.
Yeah.
And look, kudos to them; they took advantage of it. But had last year not been a 12-team playoff, Ohio State didn't win the championship. I think it's really funny that the first 2 years of expanded playoffs,
mm-hmm.
when it went to 4, Ohio State won, and when it went to 12, Ohio State won. When they wouldn't have under the prior system.
Yeah.
Because if it only been 4 last year, there's no way Ohio State gets in.
Absolutely. They had, 2 losses, right? Last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michigan and Oregon, and they didn't go to the title game. And the Michigan loss was a bad loss last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a really bad loss. There's no way they should have been down for a game against Michigan considering the history. And they just laid an egg in a game they should have dominated. But it didn't matter. They waltzed their way through the playoffs.
Yep. Well, so not a whole lot of intrigue on the Big Ten side, for sure. Pretty much everything, at this point, we're coasting for the next couple of weeks.
Questions about it. So if Oregon wins out, they'll have the one loss to Indiana, but they still have to play a pretty good USC team. And I'm really curious to see how Oregon looks, because I think that Oregon could be a sneaky playoff team.
Well, so let's talk about them. they almost bought it, right? They were in a struggle. They were in
Against a really good
a
Iowa
really good
defense. Yeah.
defensive team on the road. Yeah, all of that. But still, like last second, what was it, 48-yard field goal?
Oh, it was closer than that. It was in the 30s.
Okay.
They drove down the field, and there was Dante Moore had a beautiful pass on that last possession. I mean, it was the announcer said it pretty well. He goes, "That wasn't a window, that was a porthole. He just threw it through." I mean, it was a really good pass, and you know, it was in the rain at Kinnick Stadium, where a lot of top 10 teams have lost in the past, and that's a good win. Iowa's a tough out. I mean, they may not score a lot of points, but it's
they don't
like
give
going
up.
to the dentist.
Yeah,
to
they
play
don't give
against
up
Iowa.
much either. Yeah. Look, ultimately, as they say, a win's a win's a win, right? They win. They go on the road. They win 18-6. It would have been a devastating loss. I think if they lose that second one, there's no pathway to a championship game, and they. I mean, I have to believe they still make the playoffs, but it would be tough, and it wouldn't be. You wouldn't have a strong.
Yeah, you're going to have Indiana and Ohio State for certain from the Big Ten, but I think we're going to be a third team.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, look, if Michigan wins out, they'd have a really good argument to make it.
Absolutely. If they
beat Ohio State and they win their other games, they'd be a 10-2 team with a victory over Ohio State. That's a good resume.
All right, let's talk about our favorite over the decades downtrodden floor mat, Vanderbilt. What you saw in that game,
beating Auburn in overtime.
They did. Was that alarming? That maybe. How did you walk away from that game? Vanderbilt beating Auburn at home 45-38 when they're obviously they're a top program, and Auburn right now in 2025 is not. Was this were you encouraged by the win, or were you discouraged by the manner of the victory?
So here's the thing about those two programs. Regardless of their records this year, you know Auburn is going to put more talent on the field than Vandy.
True.
Okay. And Auburn had their interim coach, Durkin, coaching his first game after Hugh Freeze was shown the exit, like we said he would be, right? And Auburn finally looked like they understood what offensive football was about. And they ran the ball well. They passed some. I think they made the right decision to go with Ashton Daniels at quarterback. But Diego Pavia, man, he just erases some of that talent difference because he's never going to play in the NFL because I think he's all of 5'10" or 5'9", right?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have a rocket arm. The NFL defenses will crush his soul, right? But in college, man, against that one rung below, I mean, like you're talking about a dude who might be a Canadian Football League legend when he finally goes up there.
Well, that's funny because I was about to say, does he, his style of play and his impact on the game reminds me a little bit of Doug Flutie.
Yeah, that's actually what made me think of that. It's funny that we had the same thought because he's a baller, right? He's going to go out. He understands the offense and he knows how to make plays when things break down. And so, look, I am enjoying Vandy's success this year, especially since it's coming at the expense of some other programs. They almost came all the way back against Texas last week, remember?
Yeah.
Part of that was because Texas took their foot off the gas, which is a Sarkisian mistake. But, look, I think Vandy, they're an outside looking in type of playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I still think that game against Tennessee is going to be a shootout for Vandy.
Yeah.
It should be really entertaining because Tennessee doesn't have a really good defense. And Vandy, I don't think, has the athletes on defense to stop Tennessee a lot. But, yeah, I mean, kudos to Vandy. They're 8-2, man. I mean, that's really – I think they're going to beat Kentucky. Even though Kentucky has grown up a little bit, they got 2 wins in a row. And they just housed Florida this weekend.
They did. But that's Florida. Yeah, I expect them to win. I think it might be closer than we might have thought 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. But I think Vandy wins. But yeah, that game at Tennessee is going to be an absolute barn burner. And
Yeah, I
if
think
they
that's going to be a let's check what the under is on that one.
yeah, but if they can pull it off, I mean, they're going to be sitting at 10-2, man.
Yep.
Vanderbilt Commodores. Never did I ever think in the SEC, in the evolved modern day SEC. I mean, it's always been brutal, but with where we are right now, with the number of teams and the quality of the teams and the overall increase in talent across the league, like all of those things, right?
On Friday, I looked it up. The SEC average margin of victory was 10 points for league games this season, which is the closest it had been since like 2006. Something ridiculous like that.
Wow.
So I think the NIL may have had the effect of spreading enough talent around to make these games a lot more competitive.
You know, a really an excellent sports mind that I know said a couple of years ago that the NIL was going to be the great equalizer. That was me.
I think the reason what it's done is it's taken all the guys who would be depth pieces for Alabama and Georgia and LSU, and they're like, well, I can get more money somewhere else to be a starter and prove to the league that I should be the guy as opposed to riding the pine behind a first and second rounder. Maybe I can prove I should be a fifth or sixth rounder.
Yeah. So that's what I expected. Look, was I 100% sure? No, but I was definitely in the minority having that opinion because the prevailing opinion was, well, now these guys, they don't have to hide in the shadows. They can just outpay everybody else, these top programs, and it's just going to be worse for the league. They're just going to stockpile talent, and I was always of the opinion that this was going to end up being the great equalizer, and so far so good. So far it's looking like definitely that being the case instead of the other way. So yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving what we're seeing out of college. Vandy doing their thing. Let's talk about the upsets yesterday, and we got about 3 minutes. I want to touch on a few of these. So Washington, you mentioned earlier, went into Wisconsin, lost 13-10 in a pretty ugly game that was 10-3 Washington's way at the half, and then they got shut out in the second half and gave up 10 to Wisconsin. Wisconsin wins 13-10.
Yep.
I don't know if you know this, but if you don't know this, if you have not looked at the box score, I want you to tell me how many yards passing do you think the Wisconsin quarterback had?
Less than their punter.
A lot less. 24 net yards passing. 24 net yards passing for Wisconsin.
Yep.
24 yards.
I mean, that's not quite as bad as Justin Fields a few weeks ago.
What was it, minus 27 net yards?
Yeah, which is just astonishing. I actually feel bad for Justin Fields. I know I'm digressing from the college game because he seems like a good dude and he just can't do it. Oh well.
Yep. So just to we'll get back to Fields and the Jets and the trash fire that they are as a franchise, but so Wisconsin, just to finish this off, their starting quarterback, 3 of 12 for 8 yards.
Yep.
They brought in others. So yeah, I mean, I'll admit I don't know a whole lot. I don't follow Wisconsin football. I don't know a whole lot. So this leading passer he actually only had one attempt, one completion, 24 yards. That's how he ended up being the leading passer. So their starter was actually 3 of 12 for 8 yards. Ugly, ugly football coming out of the
They
Big
had
Ten.
4 different people throw passes in that game.
Yeah.
The punter, number 91, Sean West, 1 of 1.
Oh, he's the punter.
24 yards. Yes. I'm telling you, the punter
That's
had
what
the
you-
leading pass numbers of the day. So they had a fake punt.
Wow.
Okay.
And they
But
won.
they won. Now Washington has got to figure out what the heck went on there.
Wow.
If you look at, it's an ugly box score. I looked after we started the conversation. Total yards, Washington 250, Wisconsin 205. Rushing, Washington 117, Wisconsin 157. Passing, Washington only 134, Wisconsin 48. I mean, Wisconsin only threw the ball 18 times. It's like it's 1962. You know, they just, Wisconsin's AD gave the dreaded vote of confidence. Said Luke Fickell's going to be our coach next year. Thanks because Wisconsin doesn't want to swim in these coaching change waters, and they just want to see if he can fix it. And he knows they've had a tough schedule with no quarterback, so we'll see if they can fix things. But that was an upset. But mind you, though, Washington counts as like one of the biggest victories for Ohio State this year.
Yeah.
So just before and this is why I just don't know how good Ohio State is. I saw this thing popping up on the bottom of the screen yesterday. So this is the 4th time since 2019 that Ohio State started 9-0, which says a lot of good things about Ohio State, but it also says a lot of bad things about the rest of the Big Ten.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, 2 more upsets. Then we got to take a break. Virginia at home to Wake Forest lost 16-9. And California goes into Louisville and beats them. Both these teams had only one loss, with some outside aspirations of the playoffs, and I think those were dampened for both these teams, Virginia and Louisville. Both of them with 2 losses now at home, upset losses to lesser opponents.
Well, it's Virginia's first loss in the ACC. So they're still alive to go to the championship game and get that berth. All right. And it's Louisville's second loss. So they'll have the tiebreaker over Miami. But have you looked at the ACC standings?
No. How bad is it?
Let's take a gander. Okay.
I know Miami won. Yeah.
All right. The ACC has 4 teams at 5-1. He's got a 5th team at 4-1, which is the Blue Dew Devils, by the way. So they're 1-3 out of conference, but they're 4-1 in conference.
Wow.
And you have 2 teams with 2 losses. The ACC has a lot of good teams, but 0 great teams, partially because Clemson and Florida State, which played a Sickos Committee game yesterday, are 3-4 and 1-5. Respectively in the conference.
Yep.
So yeah, the ACC is really up for grabs. But you got Georgia Tech at 5-1, Virginia at 5-1, Pitt at 5-1, SMU at 5-1, and then Duke at 4-1. You got Louisville, Miami. Louisville's 4-2, Miami's 3-2.
Am I reading this correctly? The ACC has 17 teams in it now?
Yes.
Goodness gracious.
Which is a mess.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I stopped paying attention to the ACC in football, except once in a while when Miami or Florida State is good. So,
which stinks because there's like a lot of programs who don't have the resources of those 2 or Clemson who are playing better football than them now. And they're good, but not great. And honestly, from a college perspective, I appreciate that. I like that. I would actually prefer there not be any great teams, which I know is probably against the grain. But I like to watch teams having meaningful games at 8-4 at the end of the season.
Absolutely.
And fighting for rivalry trophies and bragging rights and all that stuff. And the ACC's got a lot of good football. None of those teams, I think, are a threat to win the national title or make any noise in the playoffs. But they just have some solid programs.
All right. Well, a couple of other, we've focused on everything but the SEC except for a game there. So we're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back. We're gonna dive deeper into the SEC and then slide over to the pros world. A couple of big games. Battle in the Bayou. Or was that in Tuscaloosa yesterday? It was in Tuscaloosa, LSU and Alabama, and then the Battle of the Bulldogs. We're going to talk all about that when we come back after the short break. You're listening to the Sports Spotlight right here on Radio Azad.
This is Radio Azad, where your voice matters. Streaming